They said I couldn't. And something inside me smiled. Not because it was funny, not because it didn't hurt, but because I knew something they didn't. When people say you can't, they're not talking about your limits. They're exposing their own. They say you can't because they couldn't. They say you can't because they tried once, failed, and decided that failure was the truth. They say you can't because if you do, it forces them to confront everything they didn't have the courage to become. So yeah, I freaking love it when they say to me you can't. Because you can't is not a warning, it's a challenge. Let's be real. Most people don't want you to win. They want you comfortable, predictable, manageable. They'll clap for you when your dreams are small. They'll support you when your goals feel safe. But the moment you aim higher than them, the moment your hunger scares them, that's when the doubt shows up. That's when the whispers start. That's when the jokes get sharper. That's when be realistic enters the conversation. Realistic is just another word for scared. And scared people hate being reminded of what's possible. They'll tell you to slow down. They'll tell you to be patient. They'll tell you to enjoy life. What they really mean is this: stop reminding me of everything I didn't do. And here's the part that hurts the most. Sometimes the loudest you can't doesn't come from them. It comes from inside your own head. That voice that shows up late at night. The one that lists all your flaws, all your failures, all the reasons you're not enough. The voice that says, "Who do you think you are?" That voice has been winning for too long, because every time you listen to it, you get smaller. You compromise. You lower the bar. You choose comfort over growth and call it peace. But deep down, you know the truth. Comfort has never satisfied you. It just numbed you. You weren't built to blend in. You weren't built to play it safe. You weren't built to spend your life proving everyone right. You were built to become a problem. A walking reminder that excuses don't matter. A living contradiction to "it's not possible." That's why you can't hits you differently. It doesn't break you. It wakes you up. You don't get angry the way weak people get angry. You get focused, quiet, dangerous, because you understand something most people never will. Pain can either crush you or sharpen you. And you've decided to let it sharpen you. They don't see the nights you stay up grinding while they sleep. They don't see the sacrifices you make in silence. They don't see the discipline it takes to keep going when nobody believes in you. They only see the result. And by then, it's too late for them to talk. You know what really scares people? It's not your confidence. It's your consistency. Anyone can talk big. Anyone can post quotes. Anyone can feel motivated for a week. But when you keep showing up, when you keep working even when it's boring, when you keep improving while they're still complaining, that's when doubt turns into fear. They start hoping you fail, not because they hate you, but because your success makes their excuses look weak. And here's the harsh truth you need to hear. If nobody has ever told you you can't, you're aiming too low. If nobody doubts you, you're playing it safe. If nobody questions your ambition, you're still inside the cage. Greatness is uncomfortable. It disrupts rooms. It makes people nervous. So when they say you can't, smile, because you just received confirmation that you're moving in the right direction. But let me warn you about something. Using doubt as fuel is powerful, but only if you back it up with work. Hate without discipline turns into bitterness. Anger without action turns into excuses. You don't prove them wrong by talking. You prove them wrong by becoming undeniable, by building a routine that doesn't care how you feel, by showing up on the days you want to quit, by choosing the hard option when nobody's watching. That's how you hurt their ego without saying a word. That's how you dominate quietly. They'll ask how you did it. They'll say you're lucky. They'll say you changed. No, you didn't change. You finally stopped betraying yourself. You stopped shrinking to fit rooms you were meant to outgrow. You stopped asking for permission to want more. You stopped explaining your dreams to people committed to misunderstanding you. And the best part, you didn't need their approval. Because the moment you stopped caring about being liked, you became free to become great. This is where most people fold, because domination requires isolation. Growth requires sacrifice. And becoming that version of yourself means letting the old one die. That version that needed validation. That version that feared judgment. That version that listened when they said you can't. Ooh, you don't hate that version. You outgrow it. And from this point forward, every "you can't" becomes fuel. Every doubt becomes pressure. Every laugh becomes motivation. You don't argue. You don't explain. You don't beg to be understood. You work. You build. You rise. And one day, not today, not tomorrow, but one day, they won't say you can't anymore. They'll say nothing, because the results will speak for you. You know what comes after they say you can't. Silence. And that silence is where most people break. Because nobody warns you about this part. The part where the noise fades. Where the opinions stop. Where nobody's watching. Where there's no applause. No validation. No one cheering you on. That's where greatness is decided. Most people need an audience to perform. They need encouragement to continue. They need reassurance to feel alive. You don't, because when they said you can't, something flipped inside you. Not anger, not sadness. Resolve. Oh, you stopped explaining. You stopped arguing. You stopped proving yourself with words. You started proving it with behavior. They don't see the mornings you wake up already tired. They don't see the nights you lie awake questioning everything. They don't see the discipline it takes to keep going when results are invisible. They just see you disappear, and they assume you quit. That's the funny part. They think silence means weakness. They think no updates mean no progress. They think because you're not loud, you're not moving. They have no idea you're building something they won't be able to ignore. This is where obsession starts. Not the flashy kind, the quiet kind. The kind where you replay their doubt in your head at 3 a.m. Not to feel sorry for yourself, but to remind yourself why stopping is not an option. You don't want to be average. Average terrifies you. Average is waking up at 40 and realizing you played it safe. Average is having potential you never touched. Average is blaming life for choices you made. You'd rather suffer than live like that. So you start doing what others won't. You work when motivation is gone. You train when your body complains. You focus when your mind begs for distraction. And it hurts. Not the pain you post about. The pain nobody sees. The pain of repetition. The pain of boredom. The pain of doing the same thing over and over with no guarantee it will work. That's the pain that breaks people. But not you. Because every time it hurts, you remember the words. You can't. And you smile. You realize something powerful. Doubt is free energy. Criticism is fuel. Underestimation is an advantage. They lowered their expectations of you. That gives you room to move in the shadows. While they're busy talking, you're busy building. While they're comfortable, you're sharpening yourself. While they're waiting for the right time, you're creating it. W. You don't need talent to do this. You don't need luck. You need endurance. Endurance to stay consistent when nothing is exciting. Endurance to keep your standards high when nobody's holding you accountable. Endurance to keep going when the results are late. That's what separates you. Because most people don't fail from lack of ability. They fail from lack of patience. They want rewards before they've earned them. They want respect before they've built anything. They want success without becoming someone capable of holding it. You don't want that kind of success. You want the kind that's permanent. The kind nobody can take from you. The kind built on habits, not hype. That's why you don't rush. You don't chase shortcuts. You don't copy paths that don't fit you. You build slowly, relentlessly, deliberately. And here's the truth that hurts egos. Most people don't hate hard work. They hate losing their excuses. Because once you start doing the work, there's nowhere to hide. No one else to blame. No story to tell yourself about why you're not where you want to be. That's why they mock discipline. That's why they joke about ambition. That's why they call obsession unhealthy. It's not unhealthy. It's uncomfortable. And they're addicted to comfort. You're not. You've tasted what it feels like to push past your limits. To surprise yourself. To realize you're capable of far more than you were told. Once you feel that, there's no going back. You don't seek revenge. You seek excellence. And excellence demands everything. Your time, your focus, your discipline. So you give it willingly, because you remember exactly how it felt when they said you can't. And you promised yourself something that day. You would never let someone else's limits define your life. You don't need their belief. You don't need their approval. You don't need their permission. You have your work, and that's enough. There comes a moment when you realize something dangerous. You don't need them anymore. Not their doubt, not their approval, not their validation. At first, you can't was fuel. It lit the fire. It pushed you forward. But now you're past that. You didn't just prove them wrong. You proved yourself right. And that changes everything. You're no longer chasing confidence. You've built it. Quietly, painfully, through repetition. Confidence built in the dark doesn't crack under pressure. It doesn't disappear when things go wrong. It doesn't need to be defended. It just exists. Most people never reach this point. They stay stuck needing external noise. They need haters to feel driven. They need praise to feel alive. But you've moved beyond that. You wake up with purpose now, not excitement. Purpose. There's a difference. Excitement fades. Purpose endures. You don't ask yourself, do I feel like it anymore? You ask what needs to be done, and then you do it. That's when life starts responding differently to you. Opportunities appear. People take you seriously. Doors open, not because you asked nicely, but because you carry yourself like someone who finishes. You've earned a certain weight, a presence, not from talking, from surviving your own standards. You know how rare that is? Most people lower their standards the moment life pushes back. They negotiate with weakness. They justify laziness. They forgive themselves into mediocrity. You didn't. You stayed hard when it would have been easier to soften. You stayed focused when distraction was everywhere. You stayed disciplined when nobody would have blamed you for quitting. That's why you're different now. You don't complain much anymore. You don't chase conversations that go nowhere. You protect your energy like it's sacred, because you know how expensive it was to build. And here's the truth most people won't tell you. Once you step into this version of yourself, you can't go back. You can try, but you'll hate it. Because once you've felt what it's like to live with standards, everything else feels fake. Small talk feels pointless. Excuses feel insulting. Wasted days feel painful. You're not arrogant. You're aligned, and alignment is rare. Some people will drift away, not because you changed for the worse, but because you outgrew the frequency they live on. You won't argue with them. You won't chase them. You'll let distance do its job, because you understand something now. Everyone can't go where you're going, and that's okay. You weren't meant to be understood by everyone. You were meant to become undeniable. There will still be hard days. Don't get it twisted. Days where your body feels heavy. Days where the work feels endless. But the difference is this: you don't panic anymore. You trust yourself. You trust that discomfort won't scare you away. You trust that pain won't control your decisions. That trust is power. That trust is freedom. Double up, double up. Think back to the person you were when they first said you can't. The doubt, the anger, the insecurity. That version of you didn't know what they were about to unleash. They thought they were discouraging you. They were sharpening you. They thought they were limiting you. They were defining you. They thought you'd back down. You built a spine instead. Now you walk differently. You speak differently. You think differently. You don't chase motivation. You chase execution. You don't hope for results. You build systems. You don't dream about greatness. You live toward it daily. And here's the final truth, the one that seals everything. You were never doing this to prove them wrong. You were doing it to prove to yourself that you could become the person you saw in your head. That version who doesn't flinch. That version who doesn't fold. That version who doesn't need permission. And now you're close. Closer than you think. Ugh. So if you feel tired right now, good. That means you're working. If you feel uncomfortable, good. That means you're growing. If you feel misunderstood, good. That means you're ahead. Don't slow down now. This is the phase where most people sabotage themselves. They get a taste of progress and relax. They see improvement and ease up. You won't. Because you know what happens when you stop pushing. You've lived that life, and you refuse to go back. Let them doubt. Let them laugh. Let them talk. You don't need to respond. Your work is the response. Your discipline is the response. Your results will be the response. And when they finally stop saying you can't, when the room goes quiet, when the energy shifts, you won't celebrate. You won't brag. You won't explain. You'll just keep moving. Because by then, domination won't be a moment. It'll be who you are. And that's the version of you they never saw coming.